so good, cause what's the point of crying? It was never even enough. Did you ever want me? Was I ever good enough? But boys are liar, boys are liar. He doesn't see her. You're not looking at me, boy. But boys are liar, boys are liar. He doesn't see her. You're not looking at me, boy.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Stop playing with them, Riot.
The time is now 9:22 here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and welcome back to Activated Mornings. And this is our Talk to Me segment, or open forum, if you may, where you call in and we discuss whatever you want to talk about. The number to call is 457-9997. Also, the number to WhatsApp 457-9997, where you can also place calls. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at WEFM99SVG.
Yeah. Let's get to it. It's the last segment of the morning.
You know, I'm of the belief that the Ice Spice part should always play in Boys Are Liar. Think that I'm good enough. Oh. I don't know. I like it. But yeah.
Interesting.
We talking government. What we talking about this morning, Christal?
2 things on top of my head.
Headphones.
4 things on top of my head. My headphones.
Glasses.
5 things on top of my head. My headphones, my glasses, my hair. This encounter that I had, I'm not sure about now and just leaves and go. Parents or guardians, you have children, you want to go somewhere, you want to go out. Do not leave your child or children in vehicles with the AC on and the doors locked and gone by your business. You shouldn't have people running up and down looking for you because the child wake up in the vehicle. Do the right thing and be responsible. Anyways, moving on. Last thing is, considering what has happened to this billboard, are people becoming more agitated, more restless, less patient, more intolerant within the political sphere? Or is it because of like external events, and then just because, you know, politics just happens to be in the way of their emotions, so politics will get the licks? What is happening? Are we becoming more aggressive, or what is happening?
Well, it is interactive. The number to call is 457-9997. Also, the number to WhatsApp 457-9997. What do you think about your own question?
I've been around for a very short time. Very short time. Started paying attention to politics for 21, a few years. I think my earliest memory would have been constantly hearing how short a time former representative of East Kingstown, Mr. Arnhem Eustace, spent in office. I think that's my first memory. Just hearing that over and over and over and over and over. 3 months. From since that, stop it.
That was before Carlos. You know, everybody called Carlos one vote.
Yeah, that was way before. That was 2001.
Eustace had a very rough go at it.
Oh, stop
The
it.
thing is, he's a very good economist. He's very good when it comes to finance and these things. But I don't know what it was, but people didn't want him as PM.
Opportunity. I think from what people have told me at the time, people really wanted a change because the NDP was in office. Their previous leader would have been Sir James Mitchell, and he served for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they just wanted some fresh people at the helm, some fresh ideas. So the ULP was able to win that elections, and they've won everyone since then. I don't know if it's because the ULP has been in office for in excess of 20 years, 23.
Almost 3/4 of my adult life.
For some people's their entire lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it is that some people are becoming so annoyed or so upset that they are turning to violent acts. And it doesn't have to be specific to, I'm speaking to NDP supporters or ULP supporters, because there are people who would term themselves as I'm a ULP man or I'm an NDP man, but they don't like certain things. So I'm speaking like general, like conversations when you sit down and talk to people and they talk about politics. How do they sound? Are they shouting and they're barking, or they just like laid back, like, oh yeah. So
You could hear people. You could hear the aggression in some people's comments on social media.
Yeah, you could like literally hear them shouting at their phones.
Stupid NDP people and stupid Labour people and this. But to answer your question, I do think that has been the case for years. I remember growing up. I don't remember which came first, but there was a guy who was riding a scooter in an NDP shirt through a Labour rally in Chauncey and was shot by a JP. That was quite the spectacle. And that happened. I don't think it made it to papers. It was a wild night. I live in Kittles. I could tell you it was a wild night. Yeah. Then there was when Jomo office burned down in Chauncey, right opposite the bus stop there. Then there is the person who drove through the crowd. What was it? There was an NDP person driving through.
NDP. It was an NDP
rally, and a Labour person drove through.
Well, I'm not sure. Did they ever find out who it was?
I don't even know.
But somebody ended up dying because of that incident. And there was, I think years ago, I don't know the exact story. So right now, I'm calling on the older folks to give a better comparison, because I could only tell you for the past few years. Mm-hmm. But it feels to me, especially like when you walk through the town and you just hear people talking, they sound so irate. Mm-hmm. It's not fun. It's like they come in at you to give you a box. I'm like, I didn't do anything to you. Okay.
Government.
So it wasn't me. Hashtag Shaggy. Let's take a call. Hello, good morning.
Yes, you allowed me to call again, Christal. Are you calling on? Oh boy, sorry about that.
That's all right. It's true.
Yeah, so you know, as I hear you saying there's some things you don't know, I wish you were closer to me, that I can give you some real history of politics in this country, and that's why I can't keep my mouth shut, because it will, when you look at now, the current Prime Minister has been around for a very long time. He's older than me, so he knows. And I can talk about what I know, and he has been in politics. But he usually gives his record or whatever. But the point is, I get the impression, and all through the current Prime Minister, that he wants those of us like me and others to forget about where we came from, because he talks about transformation. Listen to some of the regular words: transformation, revolution. Okay. So if you understand what those words mean, you would know what his objectives are, or some of his objectives. Okay? It's the first Prime Minister in this country. Yes, I'll give him that credit if it's worthy credit. He's the first Prime Minister coming to office, and making a lot of changes, whether it's for the good, whether for the bad. Time will prove whatever, right? But at the same time, I'm saying he has been around for a long time, and he knows the political history of this country very well. But that does not give him the right to think That's why some people accuse him of being a dictator, because we have never had it like this before. He came on the scene, he was made Prime Minister, and as you go back to the history of Sir James Mitchell, it was a different era. That's the era that I lived through.
Mm-hmm.
Then you as younger people come under Ralph, as you're making the point that some of you, did you know anything about the NDP, by the way, Christal?
If what?
Did you know anything of NDP? I don't know how old you were at the time when NDP was in, I don't know. Did you?
Not
Can
much.
you remember anything about NDP?
Just the very short. I don't recall anything at all about Sir James being my Prime Minister. I only remember briefly
So,
Mr. Annie
you need,
Muses.
and maybe I can assume, or maybe you'll have to tell me if I'm assuming right. You see, because some of us can't speak. Some of us can't speak it as it is. But according to your home, your orientation, you might have grown up in a Labour Party home, you know? And this is the history of our politics. According to the home you grew up in, your parents, you come, like some people would say, you would hear some young people say, I come meet my parents voting for Labour or ULP, and I'm going to vote for them, you know, I'm going to continue. You understand what I'm saying there? You ever heard that statement made by the public at large?
Yeah, I hear people say it.
I feel like we moving way off topic really fast. The question is,
We're
Dave,
moving on?
way off topic really fast. Way off topic really fast. The question that we're asking is, what are the extremes, or what have you seen persons do in terms of politics? Because we could only say based on what we've experienced in our lives, but for persons who've been there before, what extremes have you seen?
That's what I'm saying. Ralph, the Prime Minister, has imposed himself. He has done it in a very intelligent way, because he has the capacity to use words to impress and convince those of us, especially who are not literate enough. And let me put it there, because some people are bright and yet they do a whole set of stupidness and so on. So he has been able to use his education, like you tell you went to university, blah, 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 and so on, at what, you know. Okay.
So you the most extreme thing you've experienced is, sorry, Christal, the most extreme thing you've experienced is the length of time that the Prime Minister has been in office and the strategy he used to get it.
First time, apart from Sir James Mitchell, and he was responsible because he was part of the bringing down of Sir James Mitchell. That's something he capitalized on. That must be understood too. He was a very, you'll hear people tell you, if it was ULP in opposition, they would have already removed the NDP if they were in office for 23 years. So maybe there's a plus for him, you know. Maybe that's a plus for him. I don't think that's what I'm saying there.
Not really.
I ain't get it.
But,
yeah.
Okay.
What's the question?
All right, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Yeah, I think maybe they've misunderstood what we were saying, because now that he's speaking, I remember that I was in prep school when there were the roadblocks and these things.
I wasn't paying attention, to be honest.
I remember, because when you're living on the leeward side, you're not used to those things. I think there was one in Lomans, or I am confusing it, Lomans Camden Park, or I'm confusing it with a van strike. But I have a faint memory of that, because I remember that the opposition did have a number of strikes and protests and roadblocks to, I think it was to contest the election.
I only remember them talking about it afterwards.
No, I have a faint
I
memory
was
of
in
it.
traffic and what's
Yeah,
not.
I have a faint memory of it,
because it was quite an interesting, not interesting, good, interesting event, but it was quite an event.
I do think it's interesting that I believe that a lot of these politicians are friends or colleagues, and people tend to Bump heads, even get lock off family members, go to extremes for these people who are drinking at the end of the day together, having conversations with each other together at the end of the day. I don't know.
Some people don't get opportunities because of political affiliations or perceived political affiliations. Some people get and don't get jobs. Some people hold malice. Some people, like neighbors, they were good friends before politics came into play. And I don't know if it was that they were negatively influenced, and I would call it a negative influence because you have used it to like mash up your own personal life, or negatively bring kind of bad vibes in your life now. You're not friends anymore. You're not sharing with your neighbor anymore. You're not talking to your neighbor because of X, Y, and Z. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But it probably makes sense to them because they are maybe they're making politics like so personal that they would go ahead. Sometimes what happens, right? Politicians get thrown under the bus unjustly because the people they have working for them take matters into their own hands and mess up certain things. And it's not their fault, but they have to take responsibility because, you know, they hire certain people.
Listen, and that goes across the board, and you'll be surprised how many persons working in the government have problems, and how many people don't get opportunities, how many people do get opportunities, how many people deserve it, don't deserve it. There's a lot. There's a trickle-down effect. But I feel like here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you have to declare your hand if you want certain benefits or if you want peace in your life, because it feels like generally Vincentians tend to be, the attitude towards you change when they find out which side you're on, and you need to pick a side. If you don't pick a side, you're abomination. So Christal, you and I are abominations. But
bite me.
But I think what Dave was trying to say is that we also have persons who historically vote or support certain parties. So you would hear, okay, my mother is okay. We have a call.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Open Forum.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Is it Monday we're talking about sandals and benefits that sandals will bring? Was it Monday, I think?
We touched on sandals on Monday.
Christal.
Yeah, we touched on sandals on Monday.
Yeah, the benefits. So now people say, well, graves and so don't get the same tax exemption as sandals get. But graves will benefit from sandals. Let's say 500 people working at sandals, and 100 of them shop at graves, and each of them spend $100 each week. That's $10,000 a week extra for graves. $40,000 a month. That's about $500,000 more in graves' pocket than they would have get if the sandals not here. So everybody benefits from sandals in a way. They might not be directly, but indirectly. Even your station, although they don't advertise on your station or they don't advertise on radio station, you still benefit, because when the people who work in there go out and patronize the various business, those businesses get to stay in business a little longer, and they come and advertise on you, so the money circulates. There's so much way that money circulates around. Everybody benefits in a way.
Yes, sir.
People don't look at that. So no, that extra money that wouldn't have been there had Sanders not come to St. Vincent. That extra money, although they take out more than what's left here, they still benefit, because the money still everybody benefiting in the end. There's so many, I could give a million stories about how you could benefit. Everybody benefits.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Even people who let's say somebody depend on remittances before, and Sanders come and they get to work, they know. The person who sending remittance may have now maybe they spend less for them, because they're getting an income from Sanders.
No, don't tell them
Or if they're still sending the same amount, they get extra for them now. You know what I mean? So it's so much benefit. All right. Have a good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Before you go, he's gone. He's like a little history book. You see him there, you know.
Somebody on the live said Dave doesn't know what he's talking about.
Maybe he's trying to be like, let's move on. Somebody says silence, more silence, as in people are becoming quiet because of the current nature of politics. Good morning, Ari Crystal. Please ask Dave, when the NDP had all the seats, he never made any opposition. Yet earlier on, he said in St. Lucia, they're including the opposition. Isn't that how Shake-Up started?
How did Shake-Up start? I don't know.
It was around the time when, and listeners could chip in where I'm missing or wrong. It was around the time when the NDP had all 15 seats and there was no opposition in Parliament. And I think Mitchell had said something that included the term shake-up, or Glenn Jackson had said something including the term shake-up. Glenn Jackson would have taken it upon himself to start the program to basically act as the opposition. I think what also is included in there is the restrictive dissemination of information that came out of Parliament at the time. That might have contributed to the beginning of Shake-Up. Now, you could correct me, and Burns is coming in today for Shake-Up. And he's he's the bigger history book. He's like the suite of encyclopedias.
Of course, he was around.
Yeah, but that's what I've been told. I may have gotten some things like misunderstood or omitted some things, but you know, the listeners, I know you guys and ladies have a wealth of knowledge as well. You could chip in where I've missed out. You did it great, but that doesn't have to be reflected. Hey,
I'm trying to
I don't think that's for us.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
The best approach, real life experience applied to education. You had the gap year experience then. Why does this only apply in certain countries? Your own progress, personal or otherwise, should be self-determination, not on the government of the day. You believe that you are owed something and act accordingly. Oh, shut. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah.
This, in my humble opinion, I quote, the Prime Minister said on Sunday, he's a rebel. I don't think for a Minister of National Security and Prime Minister of the country, he should have uttered those